Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's exciting episode of Living Real TV. I'm Clara Capano.
And I'm Karissa Adkins.
And we are here to help you boss up and gain clarity in all aspects of your life. And I am super excited. We have an amazing panel of two badass women that are going to help us go into and dive into some strategies that are really going to help us take, everything to the next level. So we're going to be going into a lot of different strategies, resources, and lessons we've learned over time. But before we do this, what do you think, Karissa? Is it drink time?
It's time for a cocktail.
Time for a little cocktail. And look at these beautiful glasses that Dion has for us over here.
Stop it. So, I love a spicy margarita. But I also like a spicy margarita that's not like everyone else's spicy margarita.
Of course.
So today I'm going to do a prickly pear margarita for you ladies. We're going to start out with a little lime juice because every margarita needs a little lime. Little lime there.
And I love that we're doing a little spice today because, we women have a little spice to us.
You got to spice up our businesses sometimes.
We're going to use a prickly pear, agave nectar, and Calabrian chili syrup.
Oof.
So this basically takes the place of using an agave nectar or a simple syrup, and it's a little more healthy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, it's a lot more healthy.
Okay.
It's got vegetables in it.
Yay! It's like a V8.
And I always tell my clients, drink your veggies, right? Eat the rainbow.
Absolutely.
So I feel like this is good.
Then we're going to use Patron Silver.
My favorite. I had to get through 10 drinks to get to tequila.
Hey, we're here now, though.
Yes, party time.
And last but not least, a little Grand Marnier.
Okay.
So a lot of people do like to use a triple sec. I am not fond of triple secs. I prefer dry carousels, and Grand Marnier is probably one of the best dry carousels on the market.
Okay.
We're doing some shaking?
Oh, I have to shake.
In double time, looks like.
It is.
Do we have a certain song that we're shaking to today? Maybe some
Is
Spice
there a
Girls. You probably need some
song out
Spice
there?
Girl.
It is a margarita.
Margarita. Mas tequila.
Yeah.
Stick to the biceps.
So good. He is so good.
Really, we only create the show so that we can invite Dion. I mean, it's really a 5-minute show with 45 minutes of us talking.
And then we have our beautiful spicy margarita.
I love the color, and I love how it has the lime on the rim to contrast the beautiful red.
And the spice is in then your purple syrup.
All right, you guys should have been art critics. Seriously.
I gotta dumb it down. I'm just making sure that there's nothing else has been added.
No one ever notices that I like to contrast things. I'm gonna start crying.
Well, we value you and what you're doing to elevate all of these aspects because they really are truly works of art. They're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I'm straining this is, one, to make sure that there are no ice particles in it, and two, some of that spice does come out. And so you really do not want to be that person that gets that peppery piece of the drink and then all of a sudden you're...
My luck. Just kidding.
But you focus on expands,
Yes.
Karissa.
I don't have any hot in mine. I don't have any hot. It's going to manifest a nice mild cocktail.
And there we have it.
Beautiful. So Dion, pretty. Thank you.
You're welcome. And as always, ladies, drink well.
Well, I think we should honestly cheers to business success. We have some amazing BossUp Babes with us today, traveled from afar. So thank you, ladies, for being on the show.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to more success. Cheers. Let's try this.
Me like
It's
it.
actually good.
Ooh, that's
Ooh,
got
I
some nice
feel it.
heat.
Yeah.
I like
nice.
it. I might keep this one a little close.
Yes. Oh
So
my
nice.
goodness. Well, you know, spicy cocktails, spicy women.
Spicy question.
Yeah,
We got our
you
question
got
of
it.
the day.
Yes. And
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so our question today, since we're talking about strategies, I thought this would be a really great question. You know, so many of us use social media. What would you say is your favorite social media platform to be able to connect and serve with others?
And why? Yeah.
Well, I think that each of them have their purpose. So LinkedIn is really good for more on the business side, and I think that more the Instagram and Facebook is kind of controversial if it's really still in the future or in the present right now. But I think Instagram is really, it's great because you can do the stories, you can do the reels, you can do a post. So
Would that be
it's
your
great.
favorite, or like, because we're all on lots of channels, but what is your favorite? Like, where are you at?
I would say probably Facebook still
Okay,
currently.
yeah.
Trying to merge over to
Okay.
Instagram. Yeah.
Just changing lanes. And you?
Oh,
Good?
mine is Instagram all the way. So yeah, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Love all of them and have different kind of experiences with them. But I would say Instagram I'm a visual person. So to me, I just love that the little different styles that you can use to tap into your audience and the ways you can connect. And so that's my very favorite. I just get the most momentum in that space.
Okay, for
Yeah.
business-wise,
yes,
right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That's the only page I have on Instagram is my business one. Yes.
I love it.
What about you,
Yeah, love it. Let's see. So yes, I'm on every single platform possible, and even my business strategist is like, you should think of TikTok, fitness and TikTok, and I'm like, I don't want to do TikTok. So I am fighting that, but personally, I like Facebook. I connect with a lot of women on Facebook. I love the fact that I can, voice message and DM, and really the group and the community is what I love. But personally, I don't have a Pinterest business page, but I love Pinterest. Like, I do love scrolling through awesome ideas. So
Yes.
that's my personal go-to.
So,
Yeah.
and I will say I love TikTok, and I have been learning more about it. And I love to do a lot of video because I do love to talk. So I love my YouTube channel and do a lot of video. And I think TikTok is really great because it does bring in the visual, but also the audio, and you can put captions so people can read it, and it's quick.
Yes.
It's quick. It's only a short period of time. I still would say, like most of you, Facebook is probably where I predominantly spend most of my time, but I'm loving TikTok.
Yeah, that's fun. It's
Great.
I
to
love
watch.
to
And
watch
I thought
them.
it was such a young thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, my daughter is watching TikTok, and oh my gosh! But they gave me statistics that I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to conform. This is one of those moments where I was like, Karissa, let go of some of the others, and maybe you need to step into TikTok.
Well, and last week I noticed that my latest video that I posted last Friday, it had over 1,200 views, and I was like, yay! So it's like, it kind of gives you that instant gratification that people are paying attention,
doing
so it's a lot of fun.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, two boss babes. I told you that, you guys, powerhouse women in their fields. If you ask me, I've searched them, I've Googled them, I've been following them for a little bit, and I'm like, we want you, right? We want you in our episode, teaching other women how to boss up in their business as well, and maybe have the confidence to go from something that they're not loving today into maybe taking that side hustle and doing something with it besides a side hustle. But before we dive in, we love stories. I want to know who you are, right? Because I know who you are, but everyone else needs to know who Michele is and who Jen is. So, give us what you do and, who you are, your story, what your business is all about, who you serve. Give us the details.
Great. Okay, well, I am Michele Modellas, and I live in Sacramento, California. And I would say my life pretty much turned around for the better after some major trauma and life transitions in about 2006. And since then, I'm just passionate about helping women to transform their life and know that they have a purpose and they can really make their life what they want it to be in spite of and as a result of a life transformation or a major life trauma situation. And I'm a coach, I speak, I do corporate consulting, And I transitioned from the corporate world to my own back in 2005.
Okay.
And I left corporate and started my own event planning company.
Okay.
And I, just with that I wanted to really get out of that because I felt that my purpose was to help empower women. But money still kept coming in from that. So I had a business coach that said, keep that stream coming.
Sure.
so all the quote side hustles, have become streams of income.
Okay.
And I get to, shift and change and decide where I want to spend more of my time. And if something comes along, I get to be picky and say, no, I don't want to do that. I'm working on this other project. So
what and I think we all love speaking and we all love coaching, but what is it that you predominantly do? Who do you help? So if someone after today was like, I need her in my life, they know what you're all about.
What your message is.
Yes, I help women to live like a champion. My personal branding is the way of the champion because I think there's so many attributes of a champion, and it's not about a winner or a loser. It's about the toughness within and the strength that we have within that we get to find out and discover. And I just want people to live fully into who they're designed to be, and they get to create that. And so many times that comes, people will completely shift. They'll decide, this isn't working for me anymore. I've been doing this and living this way for so long, and this really isn't fulfilling. And then we get to create what their ideal life looks like, and do it in a healthy way, in a powerful way, and create authenticity for their life to really show up and live with their purpose.
I love it. And there really is a difference between just being a winner and a champion. Because, a winner does great when they're winning, but a champion understands it's about getting back up. Even
It's
in those
determination.
tough times.
I've done many Ironman triathlons, and the determination, dedication, and the domination, that's my 3D. I usually write it on my arm or my legs when I'm out there. And being determined to stick with it. It's going to be hard. But the reward is so amazing when you discover, wow, that's really me. And I got to create that.
I love that. So we'll dive into it later, but champion mindset and where that comes from and how we can develop that, because I do believe as entrepreneurs we need to become champions of our life and of our business, of our health, everything. So we'll dive into that. Thank you so much, Michele. Done?
Done.
Give it to us.
All right. So Jennifer Zen-Olson, and founder and owner of Laughing Lotus Wellness. I'm a transformational purpose coach and expert.
Okay.
And what I do is work with brilliantly successful women who have gotten to a point in their life where they are wondering if this is it. And even though they kind of have it all from the outside looking in, they no longer feel connected. And so what we do is work together to get clarity around how they got there, where they're going, how we're going to do that, and whether we need to make a lane change to support that journey. So whether they can stay where they are and we find something magical in that realm, or whether we need to move them off course a little bit and start something new to really reconnect them, not just with success, but success with purpose. And so that's what we work together to do. And so I have been coaching now for some time. I was a clinical social worker for 20 years before I branched off into coaching. And I landed here because I'm serving who I was. And so I got far into my business and was super successful, but wasn't feeling it like I was as creative and motivated and inspired as I once had been, and knew I was getting called to do something different. And so I dragged my feet a little bit to get there, but I finally got there, and the doors are open, and it's been just a total joy to be serving women this way.
And I love what you say about you're serving who you were, because I think that's part of all of our stories.
Of course,
and what brought us here is we saw the challenges that we went through. And we want to be able to help that woman, so they don't have to have the same stumbling blocks, and we can help them. And I think that's part of all of our journeys.
Exactly.
Just being a resource of what I couldn't find. That's what I want to be, because I don't want to help. I don't want to take away the journey, because that's where the transformation comes.
Absolutely.
But help them not have to lose so much in the process.
Well, and I think too, like even for my brand, the Lotus, for anybody that doesn't know, it's a really beautiful blossom. And do you know about this? So I love it, because what it does is it sinks down in that mud every night. And every single morning it comes back out completely pristine. And so there's this symbolism of beginning again. So giving yourself permission, right? And that's what I saw so much in my office over 20 years was we need to give ourselves permission to begin again and again and again.
And every day, because sometimes we feel like we're stuck in that mud.
No, from one breath to the next, from one day to the next, right? It's like just continually giving yourself permission to begin again and find the journey that's going to fit best for you.
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like you know, in the so if you're wondering like what do coaches do, right? Like all this magical woo-woo.
Right.
You know, like for me I found that, you know, 12 years ago, 2013, you couldn't find a health coach. So it like really wasn't you wouldn't even have we didn't even really have Google that much. Like Facebook was not even there, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to figure it out on my own. I had to learn how to lose 100 pounds. I had to learn how to re-eat. I had to learn all that stuff on my own. So yes, it is possible. The self-awareness, the tools, you can figure stuff out. We are strong women, right? We do it every day. But the difference is if I want to go from, you know, like 213 down to the best body shape mentally and physically that I can be, man, it took me years to figure it out. Like you said, right? And over the process, I lost a marriage, and I turned to, instead of food, I turned to work because I truly didn't heal certain things, and I was still filling voids. And so what coaches do is like we take you from where you are and where you want to go, and we just bridge the gap, and we do it that much faster.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying because I think so many times when we talk with people, and I know I have been in this place in my life before where I look at the cost. How much is it going to cost me to get a coach and do it? You know what? I should be able to do this on my own. I shouldn't have to pay someone to do this. But the truth is what is the cost of not doing it now? Because if it's going to take you another 3 years, 5 years, even 1 year to get there, isn't it worth the investment to cut down on that learning curve to get you there faster?
Such a brilliant lesson.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a mindset. That's a champion mindset.
Exactly.
Is I deserve to take care of myself and this purpose and this message that I need to get out in the world because it's uniquely mine and somebody needs it. I don't even need to know who, but investing in yourself is one of those lessons that
And
it
what's
took me
the cost not to do it?
Exactly.
And the time frame, like if you get somebody that is good at what they do, it can catapult and shorten that time frame so much.
So you can get to your purpose that much sooner.
Exactly.
I mean, how many more women could I have impacted and helped had I figured out who I was and my passion 7 or 8 years ago instead of 10 to 11 years ago?
Right.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And again, you know, if somebody is strapped with cash, there still are so many great resources out there to find someone until you get to a point where you can invest.
Yes.
You know, there are classes, online things, but I think when women, and one of the things that, you know, we talk about with strong women is you've really got to get to that point where you seek out and you are willing to invest, because to get to that next level, you know, since we're talking about strategies, really the only way to get to that next level is you got to invest in yourself.
Absolutely.
And you have to be willing to pull up your boots or pull up your big girl panties and get into the mud.
Yes.
Yep.
And if you really want to make that change. Otherwise, you can just dabble around with it and it's not going to do anything. And a coach is going to help what I call navigate.
Yeah.
So it's like you have 2 or 3 front burners and you got 28 things that need to be. How do you navigate or know which one is the most crucial to avoid in the long run? Somebody that's not involved in the emotion of it can help you put a strategy together.
Absolutely.
And step 1, step 2, and see outside of where you are just kind of maybe stuck.
Yeah. And one of my powerful coaches always says that she jokes that it's throwing spaghetti at the wall. So until you get that direction, until you have someone, and I think that's exactly my story. My story was feeling like I knew I wanted to coach and I knew how I wanted to create change for people and women and not exactly how to get there. And it was the investment in the coaching. That was literally pivotal for my business and got me so eyes on the prize and completely clear and focused on where I was going. And so that's what it is. It's taking all of the things and really getting super clear on how you're going to best do the work that you want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things and I'm going to call it an excuse because to me it is. There's never been a time in my life that I've like had, I have an extra 15 grand just lying around. What do I want to do with it? Right? Like it does.
Right.
It takes courage to invest in that kind of money.
It sure does.
And for me, a lot of the biggest excuse that I get from women is I don't have that kind of money. And then I turn around and I say, so you're not willing to invest in your health? And they're like, no, I am. And I'm like, okay, but I've had women sell a car. I've had women open up a credit card. I've had women find the resources, borrow the money because they believe that they've either hit rock bottom, but they are ready to change. Because when you are, I feel, at that moment where enough is enough, you will just about do anything for your happiness.
Well, that's what a champion does. You know,
Yes.
a champion finds a way. You know, these women
Exactly.
who are ready to change lanes, you find a way. And I think we've talked about it before, is that when you are clear on where you need to go, you will find the how.
Yes.
And I'm not advocating that anybody go into debt, but again, there's always a way to get there. You know, I've had people call that have said, I'm a great skill set here, can we do a trade? You know, again, can we look at ways to do it? Can you do a group platform that might be a little less inexpensive than an individual
Well, that's
platform
where someone would
to
start
open
out
the door
until they can. And
And
it's all
our job
about
as entrepreneurs to see that if that's a common thread with women, and especially in weight. Like, there's a reason why weight loss is an issue for in my field. They don't have a lot of self-confidence and they don't love themselves anyways, and it's a deep-seated belief of I'm not worthy enough of even spending this kind of money. Who am I to spend this kind of money? So then I have to just kind of go into, but as the entrepreneur, I have to sit back and say, okay, 100 sales calls and half of them can't afford X, and my vision is to serve women.
Yes.
I've got to create a platform that allows that level, wherever you are, to afford something like that.
I just did that. I just opened a membership because I had so many women come in, and and deep, beautiful connections, and I knew women that wanted to do work, and they're in that space, that middle space where they're not quite sure. Can I invest in something that's bigger for just for me? But at least then you're giving them a space to get a service, to begin that journey, to just start to have an experience, build that confidence, and hopefully go to a place where you do feel like, I can really invest in myself and do this thing.
Because all it takes is one shift, and they're like, okay, I'm in.
Exactly.
I'm coaching. I'm like, who's next? Who's going to be my coach? I'm interviewing coaches.
Right, yes.
I do. I'm like, every year I'm gonna hire a business coach or do something to grow to that next level. And so I literally will interview. I'm like, I know you're interviewing me to make sure I'm your right fit, but like, you know, and they always say, why now? And I'm like, well, it's something I do. That's a champion mindset is how can I grow? And who's gonna help me get there? Who's the perfect coach for me? And I look at it that way.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. Well, this is such a great conversation, and I know in our second half we're going to go really into strategies about, you know, how we can get to that next level. We want to talk about what are some of the best resources that each of us go to be able to get us to that next level, and how just women in general can find that community and support each other. So for all of you watching at home, stay tuned. Don't leave this conversation, because if you really want to be able to boss up and get to that next level, both in business and in life, you don't want to miss the second half of this conversation. So we'll be right back.
We are back, and we are diving into business strategies that have allowed us to boss up, to scale, to even start our journey as entrepreneurs. And we have the amazing Michele and Jen with us today. And if you missed the first half, it was really all about a lot of some of the misconceptions even around what we do as coaches, how we help specifically. So definitely go back and rewatch that first half. But today, this half, it's all about strategies, getting down and dirty with the nitty gritty, because we are ready to help you go to that next level. So I think anytime we go to the next level, we have to go through the muck, right, to get there.
Yes, we do.
Sometimes we got to go through the challenges and the struggles. Like, nothing is typically given to us and on a silver platter, like, oh, here's the perfect business plan. There you go, right? So, Michele, what would you say your biggest challenge is as an entrepreneur, and what did you learn from it? And then how did you shift?
So I would say, being an entrepreneur, I have so many ideas and so many great projects and programs and everything, and it's kind of reeling it in and knowing which one to start, and then tapping into the resources and asking for help with people that can do the things so much better than I can do them. And I think where procrastination even when it is there's so much, then it's not knowing where to start, and then nothing happens.
Sure.
And then it's just this cycle that then I'll be on something for weeks, and then it gets done, and then I'm back to all the other things. So I think it's just really, I like to use the word navigating, but it's even with myself navigating, and that's where I need my own coach to help me stay with what I'm doing and stay on course. So I think managing all the ideas.
Yeah.
It's so hard because we talk a lot about changing lanes and staying focused, and it's hard because all these new ideas, you hear something and it's like, oh, I want to go and do that too, and you have to again sometimes look at it and say, okay, what makes the most sense now?
And I think some entrepreneurs follow the dollar versus the vision, right? The passion.
Right.
And I used to work with a lot of males, and they were like, well, that makes sense. I can make $1 over here. And I say $1, but 1,000, 1,000,000, whatever. Yeah. They follow that, and I'm like, yeah, but that's not even exciting to you. You don't even love that over there. Like, stay in your lane, bro. Yeah. Come on, get back over here. Yeah. We have a lot of ideas. Do you have a specific strategy that you do? Do you keep all your ideas in one book and come back to things? What's your thing?
I try to do the technology way, and I just can't. I'm visual, so I brain dump. I'll brain dump, on my laptop, but I also will start to put things on either sheets of paper or big poster paper and just write out the ideas. And I have, I call it a brain board. So that's the whole year, and I have different categories of programs, podcasts, all the different projects I want to do, and the travel and my personal stuff, and I'll map it out which month I want to do those, and then I'll take that and then go on my other board and just say, these are all the things that I need to do. And I might break it down by month, like what I need. In December I did that. I wanted to complete some things, so I just listed everything, and I thought, well, that's a lot of stuff. But it just helped me because I just kept checking it off, and I was so productive in 2 weeks in December of what I wanted to complete for the year.
Yeah, and I think, again, having that sort of vision of what makes the most sense for this month and tiering it, one of the things that I do is I keep an idea folder. And so I put all of my ideas in the folder, and then every 90 days I look at my annual plan, and then I say, okay, based upon my annual plan, what do I want to focus on in the next 90 days? And then I go to my idea folder and I say which ones of these best fit where I want to go in the next 90 days.
Yeah, planning is pivotal.
Oh
Planning is pivotal. Knowing when you're doing things, having a vision for that, and I have had to improve that, right? Because I was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, but what happens is you sort of do it, and it's not as successful as you'd like, right? It sort of half lands. Yeah. And so for me, one of the biggest skills and tools has been defining when and how all those things are going to lay out for your year, so your eyes are definitely clear on where you're going.
Right. My prior life in corporate event planning, it's over $1 million projects for a 4-day event, and with that comes the magnitude of the project management. So I just take those skills that I used for 20 plus years and apply that to what I'm doing now, and then creating as I'm going through a project, because sometimes the systems are the same regardless of what the project is. So if you create the system, the template for the system, then it's easier to pick up on the next one. And, I know I need to do that and that and that. So
I do a roadmap, and I get 4 giant poster board, papers, and put it all over just for the visual. Yeah. And then I, mark big old line, go into quarters now, and then into months. And then for me, in my industry, and this comes from the collision, is I was like, okay, deer hits are in the fall, and this and that. So that's how I would create my content, right? So it all of a sudden becomes a map. But now in the weight loss and health industry, it's like, okay, yes, when are the trends for women who set fitness goals? When when do people typically fall off their goals? So now I need to hit them again with a goal planning day, or something like that. So when you have that visual, I'm a huge, technology is great, but holy cow, if I can't see it, I can't.
I'm totally the same. It's so old school. I'm there with my paper and my pen. I'm like, if somebody's watching me, they're like, really? Can you not make the leap? No, I cannot. Nope. This is just the system that works for me.
But understanding that, and you don't have to go, I'm a visual learner, right? If I read a book, I got to go teach it, teach the cool concepts I just learned, and then I'm going to try and implement it in my own life. I have to hit it almost on every level before it'll sink in.
I'm writing in my books, and people say, oh, can I borrow that read? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's got all my notes.
And I love, the audiobooks are great, but I got to have my book. I got to be able to highlight it
I'll
and
listen to it
dog
in the
ear the
car and then
patient.
go
Yep.
back and read it. I'll buy them both.
Yes, exactly. That's me too. Audio and the actual book in my hands. Yeah, exactly.
Jen, what do you think? Biggest strategy or biggest challenge that you've had to kind of face as a coach?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, honestly, there's probably a toss-up between two, but one is definitely investing in coaching for business. I'm like a lifelong learner, so I scrape up every kind of certification and healing tool and all, which is amazing and it's great. And it took me years to really come to a place where I needed to be so clear about Jen, that's great that you've got soul, but if you don't have an avenue and you don't have clarity about where you're going to take that and how to best make that happen, you're not going to get where you want to go. And so really it took me that wake-up call to really find that in me to say, this is an investment in where I think my message can go, and defining and having support and help in making that happen. So that was a huge pivot. The other thing I would say that has come up from time to time is imposter syndrome. And I just feel like, when you're doing this and there's 9 million psychotherapists in the world, and there's 9 million yogis and 9 million meditators, and there's all these people doing these things. And so when you're watching out and there's all these influencers, it can be so easy to get in my head. And so one of the things I really do is limit what I'm tapping into that way. They have to be a direct source of inspiration to me, or else I have to just take you up, because I don't want to compare. I don't want to be, you stay in your lane, I'm going to stay in my lane, your zone of genius is here, this is my zone of genius. So I find that I just do better when I go, bless you, I hope that all is well, but I can't witness that because it will just get in my head, and so I have to release that. So that's kind of been one of the other strategies I use for myself. So,
awesome.
Yeah, what about you?
Let's see. I think the biggest thing for me this last year and a half was letting go of thinking I needed to do it all.
Oh, that's huge.
And it's not because I have pride and it's my baby, because I'm like, oh gosh, I'm okay to kind of release some of that. But the mindset of I have to first make money in order to spend the money was just really hard for me. Where now I'm like, oh, I need to bring on someone else. I love NLP, but I don't have the 20 years plus experience that my girl has, and I don't have this 90-minute coaching sessions. I don't have that time, but my clients need that. So I brought on I call her my badass healer. So she works a lot on the subconscious mind with my clients, where I'm very strategic because I know I'm very good at that. This is your problem. This is how we're going to solve it, right? Let me break it out for you. So recognizing that I don't have to do it all, because the first 2 years it was exhausting, right? I'm the marketer, I'm the CEO, I'm the business development coach, right? I'm everything, and really I was like, and it works, and with 1 or 2 clients, right? But when you scale and you're like, I can't do this all. So yeah, I brought on that team member. My husband's a nutritionist, so he of course we bounce ideas off each other. As the trainer, I kind of bring the physical piece to it. But then the biggest one this year was, I was like, the biggest problem I think that coaches have is attracting clients and getting people, getting appointments on their books. Right. At the end of the day, it's like, you need calls, you need to be on the sales calls, you need to be doing whatever. Right. And so I finally just hired a gal who I was like, this is my goal. I want 20 to 30 calls. And if you can do that, I will pay you this, right? And she's like, no problem. This is what I do, right? And she tried to teach it to me, and I was like, it works. I made my first $20K a month. I was like, this shit works, right? But then I got the calls, and I booked the people, and then I was like, now I don't have the time to do it. So I literally called her, and I was like, can I just pay you to do what you taught me?
I'm going to need your resource.
Yes, she's amazing. She's amazing.
I took her too.
Right? I went 20 to 30 to 40. I had my first $50K a month, and I'm like, holy smokes. So now I'm looking at Q1 as I need to bring on more coaches, right? It's not a problem now. It's now I just need to be able to serve and bring that value that I hold to be true. So really letting go of the excuse of I don't have the money, because I've always invested in a coach every year, but investing in the team that's going to help me build the empire. Right. I have to have the team. Yeah, that was huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding when somebody is working on something and you're working on something at the same time, and you see it all come together, like in a week's time. You're like, whoa, a lot of stuff got done.
what
And
we
that's
can
because
do.
I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to do it all myself.
And for me, it's the dings, right? Like she's in the chats and she's in.
Yeah.
So when I hear it at 7 o'clock, the old version, the workaholic would be like, babe, I need to stop what we're doing and answer this, right? And that's where my clients, that's where they're off work, that's where they are at night. But do not work after 5. So there's meetings I don't attend to. Like that's a boundary, but it's really cool to hear the dings because I know she's doing the work. Right? I'm like, oh, look at this woman.
Exactly.
It's still happening all behind the scenes, right? It's
But I don't need to
brilliant.
be it all now, and it feels so good and free. I'm
I
like,
know.
Oh, that's
what about
Yeah.
you, Claire? Biggest challenge.
The biggest challenge that I faced is not taking action soon enough. I can get stuck in the fear. I can get stuck in the analysis paralysis and wanting to make sure that, everything is going to be put together the right way. And, really just understanding that you just got to go. You've got to trust. You've got to follow your intuition. And this is, again, where a coach, a strategist, somebody in your corner who, on some level, they got to kick you out of the nest.
Yes.
That is what they look to us to do when we are their coach and their strategist. They want us to push them. But sometimes you need someone to kick you out of the nest too. Absolutely. And you're going to learn how to fly. And you've got to be able to trust that. So I think that's been something that has been mirrored in my life a lot, is just hanging on too long in relationships sometimes, in business sometimes, and just again, trusting.
Yeah, it's mindset though, right? It's mindset, I think, of trusting that the abundance and the things will come in exactly as they're meant to.
I think it's trusting ourselves.
It is. It's absolutely at the base of that is knowing that you have the inner strength and resilience and capability to. We tell clients all the time, even if it's wrong, do it. You'll figure it out as you go, and trust that you will know how to navigate that, even if it's not.
But looking for validation that it's good.
And not being afraid of the mistakes. So you do it, and you screw up.
Yes.
You
Big
learn.
deal. And
Right.
one of the biggest things, I know we're getting into strategies in a few minutes, but one of the strategies that helped me get over that fear was thinking about and going through what is the absolute worst thing that can happen, and
Break down the fear,
and break down the fear. And one of this was when I was looking to start my consulting business. I was so afraid of failing and not making any money. And my parents looked at me and they said, what are you so afraid of? And I said, I'm a single mom. I've got to put food on the table. And they're like, do you really think we're going to let you be homeless and starving? And I was like, no. And they're like, then stop using that as an excuse. But I think when you start and you look that worst case scenario in the eye and you realize, oh, I can get over that.
Right. I will figure it out.
You're like, okay, then the fears, they don't have that same power.
Right.
Yeah.
A
I think your
coach once
future.
told me, what is the worst thing? What's the best thing? And what's most likely? And it's usually something in the middle. And it could be better. And if it's worse, then you just know to do something different. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That sense of resiliency has come up a lot, and for me, it's I don't look it's failure as I'm actually excited for it, right? And I know we've mentioned it, like at dinner table, I'm like, Sarah, girl, what did you fail at today? And then what can you learn and then course correct, right? Because I look to failure I even look to trauma, honestly. My past has already created this amazing future, so I can literally sit back at my abusers and say, thank you. Thank you for making me really strong. I've healed from it. I'm gonna use it. But anything that I face, even if it's a business decision, life decision, relationship, I'm like, you know what? I've been through hell and back, so there's no way I'm going to lose. Really, I mean, to fail is to give up completely and to die,
To actually not try.
Yeah.
And I love, because all of us are motivated by either positive or negative reinforcement. And that's why I love what you said of what's the worst that can happen. And then what's the best thing that can happen? And, really figure out where's that draw, and doing that. But I think that's, again, another great perspective.
So biggest strategy, champion mindset. You're speaking my language. I love champion. I love that word. How do you think women can start to build a championship mindset?
I would say surround themselves with people that are going in the direction that they want to be or have been where they want to, they've come out of something similar, and surrounding yourself. And I know for me, I had to bombard everything around me with anything that was positive. That was people, things I ate, things I listened to, where I went, everything. Because left to my own self, I could go down a dark road.
Sure.
Because I literally was at the point where I was like, okay, I made these big brave changes, and then it got worse, and now I'm here. Like, I was better back there. And there's a song, painting pictures of Egypt, where, you're looking back thinking the past was so great because you're here and you don't know what the future is. So I think the champion mindset is trusting ourselves, not being afraid to dream big, and just moving into it. I mentioned before, we got to pull our panties up and dig and walk through it, because what we've done before, that whole definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Well, if I stay where I was, I'm going to, I actually know where I'm going to be. And it's not going to be forward ahead.
Predict your future.
It's going to be, 6 feet under, most likely.
Yeah.
And so we get to dream big and make those dreams happen and find the people. My mom told me, you're brilliant, you're smart, you know so much, but I also know that if you don't know the answer to something, you will go find the resource. And those words have stuck with me since she passed away. And there are times where I say out loud, how am I supposed to figure this one out, Mom? And then I just get that out, and it's like, okay, well, let's get to work on trying to figure it out.
You just gotta ask.
Yes.
There's a higher power up here.
Exactly,
and,
absolutely.
They have the answer.
Yes.
They already know what you're capable of. Right?
Yeah.
Biggest strategy.
Oh, for me, it's one. You just took the words right out of my mouth. One is just community and network, and being surrounded by people that are going to tell you yes, because it's easy to get stuck with our families, friends, and people that don't mean to be mean-spirited. But unfortunately, if they're concerned and throwing out the questions, it can make us doubt. And so I love that you went there. And I think otherwise, it's really tapping into your purpose. I mean, that's what I teach, right? And I know you're going to agree with this as well. It's tapping into the greatest parts of who you are and knowing that you are the singular voice in the world. I think it was Martha Graham that she kind of, in this book that I read that I absolutely loved, and it's just a paragraph that was quoting her about, your one job in this life is to do what you were put here to do. There's only one you. There's only one you in all of time that has your voice, your particular signature, the thing that you bring. And your job is not to worry about who gets it, who likes it, who will hear it. Your only job is to do it. And so for me, that's kind of when I get in my head about something, or I'm feeling kind of stuck or concerned, I think this is what you were put here to do. You have to stay the course on trusting that your purpose and that inner strength and whatever you're meant to bring is going to reach exactly who it's going to reach. And so you just, again, it's that having that vision and holding the course.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
Keep hearing resources. Right. And it's sometimes we get so stuck in the constant and the hamster wheel where we get up, we do the same thing, even if it's good stuff, right? I'm still striving for the next, still striving whatever. But we sometimes forget that everything we need is kind of all around us, first off, right?
Especially in today's age, I mean, with technology, there are so many resources.
We forget as women we have resources. Like, we don't have to figure it out all on our own anymore.
Who told us that we had to know it all?
Where did that even come
That's
from?
how we operate
Exactly,
normally.
and sometimes the best resource could be right in front of us. For example, you had said you wanted to have her contact to help with booking some calls. I think sometimes all we have to do is ask.
Yes.
And the resource could be right in front of us.
Absolutely.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
So biggest, I mean, when we're talking resources, we're talking, where do we tap into to get energy, to get creative ideas, to stay motivated, empowered. So, I mean, think of all kinds of resources. Let's definitely go around. Claire, what would be your biggest resource that you go to stay tapped in?
I really, as much as I love to read, I love podcasts. And I think podcasts work really well for me because many times I'm on a plane and I am moving so much that it's hard for me to, just sometimes sit and be able to focus. So it's easy for me to just be able to listen to them and take them in and take notes. So I really do love podcasts. Some of my favorite podcasts, I love How They Built That by Guy Raz, and what he does is he interviews entrepreneurs. And so I, again, get to learn from some of the best of the best. So I love being able to listen to that. I have mindset ones, obviously Oprah, I love listening to her Super Soul Sunday. Jay Shetty does a lot on mindset ones. And then being that I like to have fun and be able to laugh, one of my favorite ones just to get me feeling good and feeling energized, Every Monday morning, I start my week with Smart Lists, which is Will Arnett and Sean Hayes and Jason Bateman, and they just start my Monday off laughing, and they interview celebrities, and it's just a lot of fun to sort of hear the backstories.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah.
I think mine would be, I'm torn between two. Grassroots marketing, because that's who I am true and true, is like getting to know people. I'm a relationship builder. I mean, we could all sit here and just write our 5 powerhouse connectors and exchange numbers, and we would all boss up. But I really want to go back to the books, right? I grew up with this belief that I wasn't smart enough. I was even told to quit high school because I couldn't do it, as a single mom. Like all these things of like, you can't, it's just not your strong suit. And I remember my very first mentor, I sat in her office, and of course, right after the question is, why did you ask me? You look like you got your shit together. And I'm like, I don't actually. And I heard you speak, and you said every woman should have a mentor or a coach. And so dang it, I asked you to be my mentor, And she said, Karissa, well, what do you like to read? And I was like, I don't. And, I started crying because I felt almost like she was judging, but she wasn't. She had a whole bookshelf behind her. She said, Karissa, what do you like to read? And I'm like, I haven't read since freshman, Mice and Men, right? Like the Untitled Old School book. But I can't, so she went to her bookshelf, and she knew I was in this leadership role. She knew as a female. She just kind of knew as my mentor what would be good for me. And she gave me, it was Cy Walkman's leadership, something on leadership, but it was Cy Walkman. And I read it all in the bathtub, like on one weekend. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, I'm a good reader. I love to read. I actually like to read. But I was so forced with reading books that weren't my style. Like I would never dive into a fantasy. I'm a very, developmental, give me the strategies type stuff. And, I've read at least 20 books every year since then. And I'm very proud to look at my collection. I'm proud to have a book list to give my clients, because knowledge is power. And then when you have, when you have the drive and the passion to take action, now I've knowledge and action, I'm on top. I'm like, there ain't nothing I can't learn to do. So I really feel empowered by the books.
Yeah.
Jen.
Oh my gosh, I feel like repetitive here. Love podcasts and love books. Books are probably my wheelhouse the most. But I love podcasts. Jay Shetty. So I was like, Jay Shetty speaks right to my heart, right? So I have a handful of podcasts I absolutely adore. But I would say books, I feel like for me, a lot of it comes down to the things that are going to inspire me, right? So it's for me, oftentimes in reading or listening, it's some of it's lesson and really direct. I tend to want to hire someone to teach me that in a very classic way. That's just the way that I learn. The books are to keep me going. They're to keep me in the soul space so that I'm coming from that work. So, Glennon Doyle, I'm trying to think, Morning Miracle is a wonderful one, and that's just about habit, right? Yeah. So the atomic habits and I could just go through, and so I love some of the habit-based ones, but I really love those, personal development, Brene Brown. For me, really powerful women speaking to stepping into their power is always my direct link to my feeling energized and ready to go.
Yeah. Michele.
Same thing. And as far as the books, I just started a book club. It starts up in February with a local group, and I'm just thinking, doesn't everybody read, about how to better our lives? And they're throwing out all these things. I thought, I don't really have the time just to read about a fantasy or a romance thing. It's like, I did it to kind of network and meet some new people too. But I thought, well, I'm going to try it. But I never have. I do read for purpose, and if I want to research something, because that's really what I thrive on. I do like Dr. Caroline Leaf. She talks a lot about brain health, brain science. Kind of got connected with her after I had an accident and had concussion. But she's really talks about the mindset and how we can rewire our brain. So anything like that really lifts me up. And then books, I love anything with Joyce Meyer, anything that can connect my faith with my actions and my mindset, which then create results for my life. But Brene Brown too. And then there's a new one a new podcast. I'm trying to get in more to podcasts, but Elevate the Globe was one, and so she's really good.
Check that out.
Yeah.
And I think you can do a lot of what we've said today, right? Like you can pick one group of women and surround yourself and meet with them once a month or once a like a networking group, right? You can take reading and make that a self-care practice. You can take the podcast for the busy mamas, like that's me on the stair climber, right? I'm like, yes, right? But my problem is like, I gotta write it now. I gotta write it. That's a great golden nugget.
I know, I'm constantly sending myself notes on myself.
Yes,
absolutely.
It's like in the shower, you could literally like be playing your YouTube video like every morning, right? Like there's so many resources out there. So the fact that women will say, I don't know how or where to get started, I'm like, you have the power, right? All around you. And just even asking the divine, like, where should I even begin? Like, what do I think, where can I start tapping into resources is beautiful.
And I think also going back to the ideas, when you put your success plan together, where is it? What are the skill sets you want to grow stronger in? And then seek out resources and people in those areas.
Right.
Yeah, just because like I don't like doing everything that I don't have to do it, so it's literally starting to farm out all that good stuff. And sometimes it is networking. I mean, as an entrepreneur, if you're not strength with talking to people and building relationships, hire some. I mean, I did that for 7 years. I grew this company to where we couldn't grow anymore. Like if it ain't your strength, don't do it. Don't put your energy there. Give a job, right? Empower someone else to do what they're really, really good at. So. Ladies, it's been a beautiful day. We have some gifts. We want to, thank you, of course, for coming on our show. This is Clara and I's first collaborative book together, Women Who Boss Up, and you are women who have clearly could be in this book, right? You are boss babes, and we want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Great to
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Whew, what an amazing episode.
I'm fired up. I'm like,
a whole
I'm
season
right now.
Yes, a whole season on just the business stuff. That would be really cool. But y'all know we love teaching you on life, health, and in business. It's a really important part. So thank you so much for watching today's episode. We do hope that it inspired you and empowered you and motivated the crap out of you to take action in on your life. We wish you total abundance and happiness. And remember, you can catch every single episode on motivationandsuccess.com and, of course, livinrealtv.com. So until next time, stay thriving, ladies, and stay living real.